Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Life Cyclist. In this edition, we'll be interviewing Michal Lieberman. I'm so excited to have her on stage. Welcome, Michal.
Hi, welcome. Happy holidays.
Yeah, okay. And yeah, there's so much going on right now. I feel like at the same time that people are, I mean, still like boasting with everything that happened during Black Friday, Cyber Week, there's still so much to wrap up and plan for 2025. So I'm sure there will be some tactics here that you can also borrow for your 2025 plans. So let's jump right in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Michelle, can you share some context about the SAC first? And what is it? What is the target audience?
Yes. So the Sack is a handbag and accessory brand founded in 1989, so 35 years. It all started when our founder traveled to Bali, Indonesia, and noticed these beautiful crochet bags and decided to bring it to the US. And so we became a crochet first company, and we were the first crochet handbag company in the US. And we evolved through the time. We were focusing mostly on wholesale until we launched our DTC side of the business and decided to focus on it sometime in 2019. And we also received our B Corp status very recently, a few years ago, thanks to our high standards to sustainability and our commitment to using recycled materials. Our crochet bags are made from recycled water bottles that are pulled from the ocean. Of course, we also have leather bags and suede bags. We also have our sister brand Sack Roots that makes recycled plastic bags as well.
I love that. That's so cool. I was so excited to hear about all the plastic bottles rescued from the ocean and becoming something really cool and fashionable. So thank you, the SAC, to cleaning our oceans.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And another thing that I love about it is all the crochet roots.
Hmm.
I know crochet has been in my life since I was a baby because my grandma crochets, my mom's crochets as well. And then I would always
Hmm.
have like hats and bags and things like that made out of crochet. And now it's like such a
A trend.
hyped, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, type of fashion. I love it. It's so
It's
exciting.
been treading steadily, which is really great to see. It's like not like, a big trend that then like flops afterwards. It's kind of like steadily going upwards. And our branding and brand recognition is mostly with like women that know us from like years and years ago. But it's really beautiful to see that like we are getting to those like younger audiences and next gen audiences. And it's funny to see how like some styles are very like older women styles and some styles are very young, but they also meet on like the same bag in a way, like the 90s hobo vibe. Our 120 hobo, look it up. It's like one of our most iconic bags, the most casual bag that you can imagine. And I feel like it kind of like fits all all of our like younger and older demographic.
Okay, amazing. I've been meaning to ask, what is your favorite style?
Ooh, my favorite has to be the Los Feliz tall tote that I'm
Have it
carrying
on
with me
you?
here
Oh, cool.
today. It's a leather bag, but it is like my favorite. I have it in four colors and I match it to my outfits.
Oh my God. Why do you like it so much?
It's really roomy and I feel like it looks so luxurious.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's slouchy at the same time and it's really light. Yeah. I know
I'm
it's like
sold.
not like everyone's favorite. Our top selling bag is the Los Feliz large tote, which is like wider than that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my favorite.
Awesome. And I was going to ask, like, do you recognize that there is the fact that you like the bags so much and that you have like a favorite bag? Maybe do you think that impacts the way that you run life cycle for the sack?
No, not really. Um, I I know what works really well. I know I can rely on the Los Feliz large tote in a lot of ways because it's kind of like almost everyone on their first purchase, like the majority, that's the bag that they get. That's the one that performs best on paid ads. So yeah, I keep it separate, I think. But it is so fun to work with like a product you can touch, and you go in the office and you see all these like new samples come in and all the colors, and like you get really emotionally connected with the product. I used to work at a software on an agency previously, and there wasn't anything to touch, the technology. So love working in fashion.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you for sharing that. And today you're also sharing the step by step behind your strategy that generated 23% increase to your revenue percent metric. So, and you're going to describe a little bit more about that metric in a few minutes. And you mentioned that that directly impacted your ROI for sure. But I wanted to know the key elements for that strategy.
Yes. So I joined the SAC a little over 2 years ago. I'm the CRM director, which means that I do all things email, SMS, loyalty programs, retention strategies, some acquisition strategies, as well as adding additional channels, looking to add an app, hopefully in 2025. So I live and breathe email. And before I joined the SAC, because we just made the transition to being a DTC brand shortly before, our strategy was what a lot of fashion brands do, is like a one size fits all. You just send one email to everyone and hope somebody takes a bite. Hopefully, like it sticks with somebody, and it's just not very effective. But when you don't have a ton of resources and bandwidth, like that's what you do. And so slowly, I started to invest more and more into right person, right message, right time type of mentality. And in order to do that, I had to be able to rely on evergreen templates and automated campaigns. So setting up different logics that will trigger the right message to the right person at the right time. So besides obviously, the welcome journey that is like a must at every brand, and the abandonment that is always very relevant, I started to look more carefully to see like what are my full price emails that I can rely on that tend to perform very well. For us, they are color story emails. So then I started to experiment and build with dynamic product on my email templates based on colors, based on categories. So if you looked at a crossbody, I would suggest more crossbodies that are trending right now. And it was always relevant because you just looked at a crossbody bag, and I'm showing you exactly what's in stock right now that is put together really well. And the send became less because I didn't have to send the crossbody email to everybody. I just sent it to people that showed interest in it. And so the cost, the revenue that came from each send increased significantly. My unsubscribe rate dropped significantly because this person is looking at something that is relevant to them. Whereas previously, when you send something and you hope like someone it sticks, it's not always going to be relevant for everybody. And yeah, it allowed me to send a lot less emails, and it allowed me to be a lot more effective. And I love that metric, revenue per circ, revenue per send, because it's the one metric that tells you how effective you are with your campaigns.
Yeah, for sure. One thing, we actually got a question from our audience. So Scar mentioned, what's a color story or template campaign?
So think about it when you go on the sac.com and you're browsing and you look at this beautiful blue bag, and then you don't end up doing anything with it. You don't add it to your cart or anything like that. But I have your email, and then maybe 2 hours later you get, is blue your favorite color? Here are all of our top selling blue styles straight to your inbox. And so then it's like the right person, the right message at the right time.
I love that because it sounds intuitive when, like, if you have the answer to that, like if you see that those things already work, like of course it works. But to me, it's not that obvious because sometimes I would think, for example, like if I'm giving someone a present, I might not give something that I feel like they already have a bunch of. I will give them, if I see that they wear like, I don't know, crossbodies all the time, I might give them a tote. Like my brain works that way. But if you think about it, it would make a lot more sense to give something that they wear all the time, but in a different color or in a different, slightly different, like detailing or I don't know, like material. So I feel like when you think of like almost like families, of products and why people would be interested in a certain family of a product, that's where you kind of hit the jackpot.
Yeah, here's a shocking metric. If you bought a crossbody or if you bought a tote, you're most likely to have your second purchase another crossbody or another tote. It's kind of funny because it doesn't make sense to me, but that's why we don't make those educated guesses ourselves. Us humans, what do we know? We let AI make it for us, and AI shows that the most likely next purchase is going to be a similar one in a different color because that's the bag that she likes and wants, and she wants to be able to match it to different outfits and different
That's
seasons.
that's incredible. And me as a consumer, whenever I get something like I just bought, I don't know, let's say a jacket, and then I get it and I like it, the first thing that I do is I go back in the store, like in the online store, and I'm like, what other colors they have? Like, do they have like a slightly different one, but exactly the same material because I like the material. So if you really like something, yeah, it makes a lot of sense that you go back and get exact same one. Do you do that too? Like, I don't know if I'm just like why I do this, but I tend to get if I like something, I'm gonna get that same thing and maybe all the colors available and other patterns available because I like the material, the shape, and whatever it is about that specific
Yeah.
object.
I mean, I did mention that I have the Los Feliz
Yeah,
top
that's true.
in multiple colors, but I also have everything else at this point in my collection: a crossbody, a tote, a crochet, a leather. I'm a fan of all of it.
I feel like it's also a shortcut, right? For like a consumer to make a decision that they already know it's going to work for them. And then it's just going to work in different contexts if they change like just one factor about it and not everything.
Right. Yes, for sure.
Cool. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. And I wanted to hear more about the process now. So, how did you start ideating and how was your implementation process?
Yes. So the first step obviously was identifying the goal. And for us, the goal was to reduce the number of sends while maintaining the same revenue. And this was a little scary because I came on with this like, okay, we got to stop sending emails. We send too many emails, but every email we sent made money, right? I show reports every week. I like, here's the email, here's the money. Here's the email, here's the money. So I'm like, let's send less of them. So that was like a little hard of a battle, maybe at first to shake things up. And we have to remember that, like, first of all, we pay for every email we send. So if we can send less and get the same revenue, then more profit. And obviously, if I'm going to send stuff to my customer that's not relevant for them, they're going to unsubscribe. And I spend a lot of money in paid ads to like acquire that customer. So I might as well try to keep her happy and only show things that are relevant to her. So that was the goal. And then we brainstormed ideas on how to implement this. So I mentioned like the color story emails, collection story emails, and these type of things. And those were like our tactics on how we went and did that. And then we went to find a provider that was able to help us create those evergreen templates. So that was very important because I don't want to police the templates, right? Like if I have a crossbody email and every single component in it is an image, things will sell out. Seasons will change. It's not going to be relevant in like 2 months. And there's nothing worse than getting an email and you like something and you click on it and you see it's like out of stock. So everything has to be dynamic. The text had to be dynamic. If there's a code, it had to be dynamic with dynamic expiration, and the products had to look really good together. And so the logic, the API integration with what colors we're showing had to be dynamic. And after that was done and we created all of these beautiful, all the colors, all the categories that can support it like year round, we migrated, we built, and we executed. And now I'm so happy to share that like we've been able to reduce our send volume. I can tell you by how much as of year to date. 1 second. And all while we were able to maintain the same revenue and being a lot more profitable. So for email, we've reduced our circ by 16% year to date.
Nice. Incredible. Wow. We have another question here. Let me bring that up. So, what should be the ideal frequency of those emails? So you're talking about evergreen journeys, right?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I don't have a definite answer, but I will give you a rule of thumb. The people that are very engaged don't mind getting more, and the people that are less engaged do mind it. So, in a way, they had to do something in order to trigger the email. So, it makes sense. Um, but I guess um, it's a it's a matter of trial and error. You have to see, like, you know, you want to send it like 3 times a week or like every day, every other day, and see like what performs well. It's kind of depends on the case.
Do you feel like different journeys will have to work with different frequencies as well?
Yes, I think that the welcome journey, so that's when people sign into um, your program. You have to be very careful because one, like they're most likely to convert there, but second, they're also likely to unsubscribe. So if you overdo it, and I see it all the time as a consumer, I sign up to an email program and they're like, oh my God, I didn't sign up for you to send me an email like 3 times a day. Respect the space I'm giving you in my inbox. So I try to be respectful. I think like an email like every day and then every other day in the welcome is sufficient.
Mm-hmm. Nice. That makes sense. And what was the timeline like for that project?
So the longest time was to build the case that this will be successful and how this will bring us to like a future where the program is healthy and it's kind of running itself and we send more things that are more relevant. Like I said, because in a way, every email made money. So to say that we need to send less was maybe a little counterintuitive. But after we got everyone on board and we implemented, it took about 2 months of designing and creating all the templates and implementing it.
Okay, 2 months. Nice. And that's cool because then you got to kind of keep the whole project within a quarter, basically. So
Yes,
pretty cool.
about 2 months. You're not gonna get like everything, but at least like the bigger heavy lifting items will be there.
I'm curious if you did, if any part of the process, you also did some research to see what other companies were doing.
Oh yeah. Um, I'll give you another like insider thing. So our loyalty provider gave me an idea to send a 1-star review trigger. So think about
Mm.
it. If you leave a really bad review on a product and then you get an email saying like, oh my God, we are so sorry, this is not the experience we wanted you to have. If you wanted to make a return, here's how you do it. And if you want to give us another chance, here's an offer, like basically the best offer, the lowest offer we will go. And here is like our top 5-star most best-selling stuff, and here's a form where you can submit your feedback. And that's such a clever way to turn around a bad experience into a good one. And I can't say that the conversion there or like the volume is like off the charts, but the engagement is there. So I do know that the open rate is there and the click rate is there. So you always get like these little nuggets of ideas everywhere, and then you implement them, and sometimes it works, sometimes it's not.
I love that. I love that. I used to work for a place where the CEO would also always say that whenever um whenever a customer like got upset about us, that was our biggest opportunity to turn things around and have them like get really excited about us again by doing something that is completely unique they haven't seen before, they're not expecting, and treating them with the utmost respect that we can. And I feel like that is a beautiful tactic to implement. And it's so scalable as well, right? Because we might, I don't know, like to me, another obvious way would be to actually reach out. But in different context, you might be able to like reach out on one in different in another context. An email will solve that situation. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
And how do you bring experimentation into your process? Do you have a favorite way of testing your ideas?
A favorite way, I mean, everyone has the ability to do A B testing, um, and then tweaking things as they go. When I first launched my welcome journey, it was very robust and it included all these like little different things, like about us, about like our heritage in crochet, about like our bestsellers, about like follow us on social media and things like that. And then I kind of saw like what like performs really well, and I noticed that my reminder to the welcome offer was like the sixth campaign, and that was like the top converting campaign. I was like, maybe 6 days is too late. And then I popped it to the second day and I tested it against each other, and lo and behold, it did a lot better on the second day than the sixth day. So we had like a footwear campaign, and that wasn't performing very well. So we changed the template and we tested it against each other, and then it improved in the conversion. So different things like that. You kind of have to play on it in harmony, and see how you can make tweaks to change, but also don't change everything at once, because you want to identify like what was the issue.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I'm curious about that template. Like, was there something specific about the template that made it work better for the audience?
Um, the shoe template.
Yeah.
So we had a great lifestyle shot. And then when we changed the template, our graphic designer created this beautiful GIF that makes the shoes like disappear and appear on the stairs. And that, I think, was a really great eye-catching email. And if you enter our welcome journey, we'll get that email that I'm talking about, like maybe the fourth day or something. Yeah. So it's not anything specific. It's just kind of like looking into creative ways to be more eye-catching and present your product beautifully.
Cool. Oh, I love that. I love gifts on emails, and
Yeah, gifts are great.
especially if they're like personalized. So yeah, and high quality as well, because some gifts are not very high quality.
Yeah.
And how did you come up with the right messaging for each segment that you created? Actually, like, how did you create those segments? And then how did you come up with the right messaging?
Segments are tricky. I'll talk about one method for segments. In my current strategy, I look in like life cycles. We're on the life cyclist, which is a good way to identify like how people or how customers flow through or have a relationship with your brand. So it's totally like my naming. So for me, when somebody signed up to my program and until they make their first purchase, they're called a subscriber to me. And the goal is to get them to migrate from being a subscriber to being a new customer. A new customer is someone who just only made one purchase. And then from new, they move to active. From active, they could move to churn if we're not careful. And from churn, they become inactive. And so that really helps craft the messaging. So what type of messaging do we send someone who just signed up and they know nothing about your brand? Who we are, what our best sellers are. We also make shoes, get to know us, learn about our B Corp status. But what messages do you send someone who just made their first purchase? They're so excited about it. We send them how to take care of your bag, join our social media, join our community. You are a loyalty tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, based on your purchase. And then also start to like talk about your next purchase. Would it be for you? Will it be a gift for someone else? If they are active, we're talking more about seasonality, referral stuff. And if they're churned, that's the time to get aggressive with them and be like, here's an offer, that didn't work, wait a week, here's another offer, here's a better offer, to try to get them back. But because once they become inactive, it's very hard to bring them back. So it's kind of like logic for crafting messages to each segment.
And what do you consider to be an inactive customer?
So for us, it's someone that hasn't purchased in over a year. Okay. And hasn't opened an email in over 6 months.
In and or?
I believe it's and or.
Okay. Yes, that makes sense. And you mentioned oh my gosh, I had another follow-up question. Okay, it'll come up later.
No worries.
And what were those key initiatives that you noticed that drove more impact? And did you have any KPIs that you were using to measure that impact?
It's the idea that create more triggers, for colors, for categories, for life cycles, for loyalty. And then a lot of triggers can be comparable to, like, the ad hoc campaign, which are very important, by the way. Um, but when you first look into automations, you will notice that the volume there of sends is very small, and the small volume will not be comparable to, like, the one send I'm doing to 500,000 people in my list. So just create a lot of them and have them work really beautifully together, and use a lot of dynamic blocks in it, so that you can change things as you go, and you don't have to police them, as I like to say.
Yeah. So are you saying that you create from the list of segments that you mentioned before? It's almost like a status of like how they are connecting with the brand, right?
Yes,
And then the triggers help you kind of personalize the dynamic content within those emails depending on the status that they are.
exactly.
Okay, cool. And do you also create some sort of tags that are connected to how to like their style or like anything else that you know about those customers so that you can create, let's say, like campaigns specifically to like a group that is within active customers but also like something else?
Yes. I'll give you an example. So we sell crochet bags, leather bags, suede bags, and eco twill bags, so nylon. If you buy leather and only leather, you will probably never buy anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Just how it is. But if you buy crochet and leather, you're more likely to expand, and you're more like creative, and you like a lot of things. So tagging it by fabrication, like preferred fabrication, helped us map our lifetime value in a way. We noticed that, like, people that purchase from different fabrications have a higher lifetime value. And it makes sense because they kind of get it. They understand our brand, and they're more connected with our brand and everything that we stand for.
Cool. Thank you for that example. That's, yeah, very clear. And what were there any initiatives that you tried and didn't make the impact that you expected? And what did you learn from them?
Um, I um, I learned not to mess with my sign-in unit too much. Um, I was trying different things on my sign-in unit, giving a gift with purchase, giving away a gift card, and nothing was as effective as just a plain, like, currently it's 20% off your first purchase at the SAC.
Mm, okay. So sometimes the
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 over
basic works.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Did you like with the extra card, was that used for referrals or was it for like would you get a card, would you get like an extra discount when you purchased something for your next purchase?
The gift card was a gift card for the store.
Oh, okay. Was that like for people that were had not been activated, had not activated yet, had not made their first purchase yet?
Yes, subscribers.
Oh, for subscribers, got it. Yeah. Okay. So just the plain 20% off still work.
That's what worked for us. You'll see different things on different brands that work better.
I feel like that's kind of like what most people do, like the 20% or 10 to 20%,
10,
right?
15, 20. Sometimes,
Yeah.
like, you'll see just free shipping
Hmm. Is
or
there
gift.
anything else? Oh, yeah, free shipping. Yes. What did you say after free shipping?
A gift with purchase, GWP.
Oh, yeah, the gift with purchase. Did you try like something specific when it came to the gift that you felt
Um,
didn't work?
yeah, like a wallet.
Mm. That is a cool gift.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is,
people
but
prefer the
it wasn't as
20% off.
effective. Yeah, they preferred the 20% off. She
Gotcha.
she preferred, she wanted like a full price item and she wanted to get it at a discount and she didn't want any other stuff.
Mm, yeah. Is there anything else that you're planning to test or experiment with in the next couple months that you're excited about?
Yes, yes, yes. I mentioned that we are looking to build an app. Watch how I'm getting like 10 emails after this podcast from app from app vendors. We want to
Mm.
build an app. We'll see if it makes sense for us. Um, and I'm looking at identity resolutions as well, um, to to try to see if I can capture more of my anonymous visitors on.
Mhm. That makes sense. What would you do if you would be able to capture more anonymous visitors?
So you have to be very careful with it, but there are solutions that allow you to email or send an introductory email to someone that was on your site or even added to cart or started a checkout and they didn't give me their email. And it's allowing you to retarget and say like, oh, we're so happy you stopped by and we are pleased to offer you a discount. Would you like to take a look? And
Mm. Yeah. Have you seen that? Have you like experienced that as a consumer from other brands?
definitely.
Yeah. And what did you like? Because I'm guessing that you mentioned that you have to be careful because you don't
Mhm.
want to, yeah, like give people that sensation of like I'm being watched, right? So how would you do that? How like maybe like do you have a good example of a brand that's doing that well?
I don't have one off the top of my head, but when I say careful, I mean don't be too creepy,
Yeah.
don't oversend. Keep them on like on a radar. If they do engage with it, then maybe send more. But if they don't, then definitely like don't overdo it. Um, and work with reputable service provider. So like, look very carefully to see those identity resolutions, like how are they getting the customer's email and that they do it in reputable ways.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. We got a question from Josh. He mentioned, what is an example of that kind of anonymous user mail service?
Um, we I just don't know. Is it okay to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we are gonna interview OpenSend. Um,
Hmm.
no ties. We're just looking into it, and we talked to ListTrack. ListTrack has an identity resolution that's called ListTrack GXP.
Hmm.
Um, and I believe there's another one out there um, that we
Yeah.
might look into.
Cool. Thank you for mentioning them. Josh, I hope that answers your question, but if you have more questions, please send them our way. Zishan also asked a question, big one. How do you decide on the limits of experimentation and what's the threshold after which you say, no, let's go back to the default normal?
Maybe 3 weeks, but it's not so time dependent as it's like volume dependent. So if I experimented it on my welcome journey, I have a lot of people go through it. But if I do it for my risk of churn, I don't have a lot of people go through it. So in that case, I might need a 2 months.
Mm, cool. Thank you. That's great. Well, I have some more questions, but we are in like just over halfway through our conversation. But thank you so much, Michelle. It's been so fun.
Yeah.
Um, I'm reminding myself of, I just remember the prep conversation that we had. And you mentioned that you learned a great deal about lifecycle marketing when you worked at Optimove. So that's the SaaS that you were talking about before, right? No material things to touch, but a lot of learning.
Yes.
And could you share any, like maybe your most important learning from that time?
Yes. Optimove was my first big position. It's an Israeli startup company. I'm not sure if like it's still a startup, but it's a tech company.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to my former supervisor, Dana. And it's in customer journeys mapped by AI. And I learned so much in my year plus there that I even sometimes say that, like, when you have a first job, that you give a lot from yourself and you're also able to get so much. It's like the best opportunity. And I truly, it was like a CRM boot camp for me. Like, I learned everything that allowed me to continue to move to the brand side and get to the SAC and make those impacts very quickly at the SAC based on the things that I learned at Optimove. And I will also share that it was very hard to get a first job. I graduated in 2020 with my MBA from Stony Brook University, and nobody was hiring. And I had a friend referred me, and they said I don't have enough experience because, of course, like, you need to have one job in order to have experience. And then she just grabbed the HR person and she was like, "Give this person an interview. Like, she's really good." And that's how I got my break. But like, if you are in a position where you're looking for that first big job, then I feel you. And my one thing to tell you is that to get your second job is gonna be a world of a difference, going to be way easier.
Wow. Yes. Yes. And always having a little help from friends that know us, that especially know that we'll match the culture of the company is such a big thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yes.
glad you had that friend then. And we have, yeah, there's a lot happening in the comments here. So just so that everyone knows, someone, so it's not showing the name, but mention to Josh, like answer that question for Josh too. Mention retention.com and RB2B as an addition to the other platforms that you already mentioned. Just some feedback for you, Michelle. Marina says lots of interesting info. So,
Oh, yay.
woohoo.
I'm so glad.
And Josh and I guess Saps are speaking to each other here in the comments and and just like helping each other out. So this is really cool. And I think so. I'm guessing this is Saps, but I'm not 100% sure. But we have another question here. How often do you clean your lists, and what is the right cadence to remove people?
That's good. That's good. I clean it more often than I want to because I'm sitting on the limit of how many profiles I can have before I have to upgrade my my
Mm-hmm.
account. So um, don't cry over those, suppressed profiles. They're not worth it. They're not worth it. People that are engaged, and they're the ones that will make a purchase. And during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I have a deliverability officer that helps me with deliverability for my email program, and he gave me a recommendation to do a separation between my Black Friday email to send it to people who opened an email in the last 30 days, and then send it to people who opened an email in the last year, but not in the last 30 days. And it was about like a similar size. So very comparable. The difference is wild. So 90% of my revenue from that email came from people that opened it in the last 30 days. So it almost didn't matter that I sent it to them. Like, of course, Black Friday, you want to make sure that you're hitting as many people as possible, that it's relevant to them. And normally I try to stick to those like opened in the last 30 days and more surgical segments. But like showing that to my, leadership team was like, whoa, like you could have like not send it to them and spare that like sends, because we pay for the emails we send, and it wouldn't even made it that much of a difference. So to bring it back, people who joined more than a year ago and they didn't buy from you and didn't open an email in the last year, they're probably good to go. People who reported you as like spam and stuff, hopefully that naturally moves into your suppression list. Emails that have been bounced for deliverability purposes multiple times, that's probably also okay. Yeah, more based on engagement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes so much sense. And did you also notice like a gradual declining engagement from people that had opened an email like 31 days from the day that you sent that Black Friday offer to the ones that the last time they opened were like 11 months
Yeah.
ago.
So I went in increments of 30. So 30 days, 60 days, um,
90.
90 days, 120. And it was very much like a bell curve of like the less engaged they are, the less contribution they made as far as the revenue.
Mhm.
Whereas my top tier, when it bought again and again, even like 2 or 3 times during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and they wanted to get an email and they had a very strong open rate and click rate, and that's what I want for deliverability purposes too. And if you're not aware, deliverability scores is basically what the ISP is thinking about you. So Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook, they need to make sure that you're not spamming people. So if they track like the sac.com as a domain, that you have a very strong open, you have a very strong click and forwards and replies, and you're not just spamming, then you have a higher chance, first of all, of not getting blacklisted, and you have a higher chance of your emails actually landing in the inbox
Mhm.
instead of, the spam folder or the promotion folder.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah. So cleaning is a win-win every time. And did you notice as well that you mentioned that an inactive user for you is someone who's been inactive for like a whole year? But did you notice from that experimentation that maybe you could bring it back to even like less time and then you could consider them inactive like 6 months in, for example?
I have not considered it, but I will look into it.
Okay, cool. We have another question here from Marina. She's saying, do you run re-engagement campaigns? I actually had the same question, so good that she asked.
Yes, so the re-engagement is what I call a risk of churn. Churn is when your milk spoils, the milk goes bad. So once they churn, it's you can make pancakes maybe with that milk, but it's harder to use.
Mm,
So risk of churn is basically re-engagement, somebody who used to be active and is at a risk of churning. And so that's when we get aggressive with promotions. And we offer different things. We try to include them in more things, and we
mhm.
keep a close attention.
Cool. Do you have like like maybe an email that is like your top performer in terms of re-engagement?
Um, do I have a top performer? It needs to be personalized. So like hi first name. Um, we noticed that we missed you. We noticed you haven't shopped in a while. So much have changed. Check out our new arrivals. And here's an offer. And we would like to have you back. And very important, very, very important. If you have a loyalty program and you run on points, which the SAC does, so you collect points for every dollar you spend towards store credit, make sure you tell them they have store credit. They love that. They say like, oh, I have this like free money, or like money that I collected and that I earned, and I can use it. Like that's very effective.
Hmm. Yes, that makes sense. Cool. And do you have like a last, almost like your last resource email, like the last kind of like tentative
Mm.
way to kind of engage them back in your
Yes.
journey?
Yeah. So it goes into a better discount afterwards, and
And then
then
you're like, okay,
we
this is
become
it.
we
Not
become
talking to
very
you again.
dramatic. The subject line will say, "Is this goodbye?" Heartbreak. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. It's always effective on me, those things. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Cool. And I wanted to ask a little bit more um, about like the future of life cycle marketing and how you see it. And especially about interactive emails. Do you see them playing a role there? Like, how do you see them impacting lifecycle marketing? And by interactive emails, like just so that everyone knows, I mean those emails where you can take action within the email. So let's say you send out a survey, you don't need to like click on the link and then open another page. You can take the survey within the email, for example.
Yeah, yeah. The answer is yes. I do believe that interactive emails will be impactful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, your top customers want to have a connection with the brand. Um, they don't want it to be one-sided, where like you feed them whatever you have to show and they just take it. They do want it to be like dual-sided. So things like the interactive emails with the quizzes and the questionnaire and the conversational things and like SMS conversational will become more important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you ever used a quiz within your journey to like help understand, like help you understand a little bit more about the customers and customize their experience?
Yes, we have for in SMS. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why our customer didn't love it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I need to try it on email as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm curious to see how that goes. And is there, okay, so Marina's hand, another question. Is there a specific trigger for your risk of churn campaign?
Yes. So my service provider allows me to identify people that are at risk, and that's like a back end setting. So I don't have to worry about it, which is great. But if you don't have that, then you need to look in your data and see when there's a dip in the performance. So is it the 31 days? Is it 60 days? Is it 100 days that they didn't open an email? And what is the retention rate? So handbags are tricky. You know, we're not toothpaste. So toothpaste you buy every 3 months or whatever, and handbags, if you buy one handbag a year, like you're a very good customer to me. So bringing you for more than once a year is tricky. So the retention rate is a little slower there. Slow fashion, hashtag slow fashion. Um, and so maybe 1 year for the sack makes sense, but for a different brand or shoes that are a little bit more retentive, it will be 3 months or it will be 6 months. So notice when there's a dip and then do what is called like a join the segment, build a segment that is like haven't purchased in 6 months, haven't opened an email and or haven't opened an email in 6 months, and then do a trigger, an automated trigger, and it needs to be like join the segment. So as soon as someone joined that segment, they get that risk of churn campaign.
Incredible. Thank you. And oh yes, okay, I'm very curious about this. Any other brands that you get inspired from because they're doing a great job in lifecycle marketing?
We love looking at a lot of handbags and how they're being innovative in the space. Um, and you asked me to prepare in advance, and the same day, I think I got an email from a small family-owned brand called Dore. I spent some money there during Black Friday. Dore is one of those mats that once you like sprinkle water on it, like it dries off immediately. It doesn't like, stay wet. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very helpful for like a mat when you step out of the shower. It's not like water everywhere, or like for your dish rack, you want it to stay dry. And they sent an email that said, skip the knockoffs, why Dore is built to last. And
Mm-hmm.
that basically like was outlining what's the difference between them and the knockoffs or like the dupes per se that is being sold on companies like Amazon and whatnot. And I feel like it was so relevant for the sack because crochet is handmade. You cannot factory make crochet. Our bags are made by artisans in Bali by hand, and it takes like 3 days for a crochet bag to be crochet. And when there's so many dupes or lookalikes for, to make it look like it was knitted or handmade or crochet, but it's not. I feel like I want to do like, oh, this is why we are like the real thing, and we are the handmade crochet, and how can you spot the difference, and what can you expect as far as quality.
I love it. Yes, that's a great inspiration. Makes sense. And so I'm guessing, do you keep like a collection of emails in your inbox, like they just save or something like that, so that you can check them out later and get inspiration?
Yes, I do. I take I don't know if you knew how to do that, but like you can download an email as an HTML into your computer and save it for later.
Cool. So I'm guessing I have a
Yeah.
folder full of them.
Yeah. So if you like forward that email, it sometimes gets like messed up and it shows all the hidden blocks and stuff. So it's best to like download it because then you see it in the original format.
Love it. Love it. Okay, we're coming to the last bit of our conversation, and I wanted to ask you about any advice that you could share with life cyclists and on um, how to like boost their ROI, because I think that this is what this conversation has been all about. Like, what is the one important thing that they should take from this conversation?
The one important thing is that it's totally worth your time and energy. The easy way is to send one size fits all campaigns to everyone in your list, and it will also drive the most volume, but it will kill you in the long run. So, if you want to build a healthy program that will live and be healthy and will play beautiful music, then you should invest in building those. And then a second tip that is a little bit more relevant for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, which we passed, but remember it for next year or for whenever you have a big sale. I see as a consumer and as a professional so many name brands. They do this classic mistake of not turning off their normal, regular welcome flow and welcome promotions when there's like a Black Friday sale. So what happens is I opt into a brand and they're like, we're so glad you're here. Here's your 15% off. And then 4 minutes later, I get Black Friday 40% off, and that's like, that's a waste for first of all. Second, it just looks so bad, like just send the one thing that for Black Friday. Better yet, make a welcome journey that identifies that they joined during Black Friday and make like a similar offer. So it will look so much better if the customer joined the welcome journey during the sale, and you say, oh, you joined at the best time. We have this sale going on. Take advantage of it, and that will be much better.
Yeah, yeah. Or give it a little extra that like stacks on top of the Black Friday, whatever it is.
If you're
If
able
that's
to, like a little free shipping or a little
yeah,
something.
exactly. Great point. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, last question that I have for you is because I mentioned that you were a swimmer in one of my posts on LinkedIn, and people are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I want to hear all about it." And you're not just a swimmer; you're a swimmer with like awards, and like you're big time swimmer. I heard you won like a national championship, so this is huge, and not even in just one style, but like multiple swimming styles.
Yeah, I'm a like a proud retired swimmer. I I owe so much to swimming. It truly gave me everything I have in my life. I came to the U.S. 9 years ago in 2015 from Israel, and I got a scholarship to swim, and that's how I became a student athlete at Eastern Michigan University, and I was there for 4 years, and I got my undergrad while I was swimming, and that was such an incredible experience. And a little a side story. I got into a really big injury. I had an ACL tear on my left knee, and that kind of killed my last year at Eastern Michigan. And that was also the year that I met my husband. and he is also a national swimmer. We both
Of
swam
course.
in the Israeli national team, so we met through the connection there. And and he lived in New York at the time, New York City, and worked in New York. And so when things became serious with him, I looked for an opportunity to see if I can stay, maybe with like a work visa or something like this. Even though I was very ready to go back to Israel and work in tourism, I had like 3 interviews to work for like a big tourism company. Little did I know the pandemic was gonna have me lose my job in like no time. And that's when I chatted with a coach, and he's like, "Are you kidding? Like, you didn't swim all year. You have another year of eligibility. Go get your master's or something." And so even though I had zero intention at first to do my master's, I was like, "Oh my god, this is incredible opportunity to like make a big comeback." And that's how I ended up at Stony Brook for my MBA in marketing. And I had this like epic comeback. I'll never forget it. It was like I that year I was the conference champion, and that year also like reclaimed my title as the national champion in Israel for 50 backstroke and 100 fly on short course. And and it was so great. I retired after the previous Olympic cycle in 2021 and been not swimming since, but I still feel like it's such a big part of my identity, and a lot of like my hard work and my value for setting goals and these type of things, they stem from swimming. So if you have kids, put them in athletic programs. It's going to keep them busy and open a lot of doors for them.
Oh, I love that, Michelle. I've got goosebumps all
uh,
over. Thank you for
yeah.
sharing it. So beautiful. And I think to me, what I learned from this is that we really can't, I mean, our bodies and our minds, they're working together, right? So if we're like goal setters, we're like to learn new things. Um, we can exercise like learning and reaching goals not only mentally and like rationally, but with our bodies too, and one will help the other. So the more we do that with our physical body, the more our mental body will also be able um, to kind of endure where and kind of be creative about how we can get to that final point where we want to get. So I love that. Thank you. It's
Thank
beautiful.
you. Thank you so much for having me. This is my first live podcast. This was so exciting to do. And I hope it was valuable to everyone and anyone that listened. And CRM is the best part about marketing, in my opinion. And I love it, and very passionate about what I do.
Thank you so much. I'm sure it's been very valuable for a lot of people. I'm already taking mental notes on all the clips that I want to create based out of this. And yes, thank you for your time. Thank you for all the preparation that you did. And I cannot wait to maybe have you again talking about something different. This is incredible. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.